Have you ever heard a story that just didn't make sense? A friend, a family member, or a public figure who seemed to be the very picture of health. Someone who ate well, stayed active, and had no obvious complaints, suddenly has a major heart attack. These events can be deeply unsettling because they challenge our fundamental assumptions about what it means to be healthy. They leave us wondering what we might be missing, and if there are hidden risks that our outward appearance and even our own feelings of well-being can't reveal. It's a quiet concern many of us share. As an educational guide, my focus is on exploring these complex health topics to provide clarity and deeper understanding. It's important to state from the outset that this video is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. My goal is to bridge the gap between how we feel on a daily basis and the subtle, long-term biological processes that are constantly at work inside our bodies. We're going to explore the quiet story our cardiovascular system is telling, moving beyond the surface-level symptoms we're often taught to look for. Many of us operate under a common belief: if there's no chest pain, no shortness of breath, and no diagnosed high blood pressure, then our heart must be in good shape. However, this perspective often misses the bigger picture. The central idea we will explore today is that a major cardiac event is rarely a sudden, random occurrence. Instead, it is often the final chapter in a long, silent story of declining vascular health, driven by factors that don't ring daily alarm bells. True cardiovascular wellness isn't just the absence of symptoms. It's the presence of an internal environment that prevents damage over time. To build this understanding, we will delve into three distinct but interconnected topics. We'll start at the microscopic level, looking at a hidden stressor that can affect your entire body. From there, we'll move to the structural integrity of your arteries, examining a process that can unfold for decades without you feeling a thing. Finally, we'll look at the systemic signals your body sends about its metabolic health, signals that are often misinterpreted or dismissed as normal signs of aging. By the end, you'll have a more complete framework for thinking about long-term heart health. Before we begin this journey of understanding, if you believe in the power of clear and responsible health information, please consider taking a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps this educational content reach more people who are looking for reliable insights to better understand their own health. Sharing your thoughts in the comments below also contributes to a community built on learning and awareness. Now, let's explore the first of these silent processes that deserves our full attention, a process that begins deep within your cells. Let's begin with our first topic, a silent process known as chronic low-grade inflammation. When you think of inflammation, you probably picture something obvious and immediate. Imagine you get a small cut on your finger. The area becomes red, swollen, and a little warm. This is acute inflammation, and it's a sign that your immune system is doing its job perfectly. It's a rapid, powerful, and temporary response designed to heal the injury and protect you from infection. This visible and helpful process is the type of inflammation we are all familiar with from everyday life experiences. However, there is another, far more subtle type of inflammation that we need to understand. This is chronic low-grade inflammation, and it operates completely differently. It doesn't announce itself with redness, swelling, or pain. It's not a loud alarm bell signaling an injury. Instead, it's more like a constant low-level hum of immune activity running in the background of your body. Because it produces no obvious or immediate symptoms, it can persist for years or even decades without you ever knowing it's there. It's a quiet state of alertness that never fully shuts off. So, what exactly is this invisible process? Chronic low-grade inflammation is a persistent systemic state where your body's immune system remains slightly activated over a long period. Think of it as a security system that is stuck in a state of low-level alert, constantly drawing a small amount of power and creating a background level of tension. There is no specific injury to heal or invader to fight off, but the defense mechanisms remain partially engaged. This continuous state of readiness places a subtle but significant stress on your cells and tissues throughout your entire body. The primary reason this condition is so frequently overlooked is that it is completely asymptomatic. You simply cannot feel it happening. You don't wake up in the morning with a sense of being inflamed. It doesn't cause a headache, an upset stomach, or any specific discomfort that would prompt you to think something is wrong. Our awareness of our health is often tied directly to the signals of pain or malfunction we can perceive. Without these sensory cues, a process like chronic low-grade inflammation can operate entirely beneath the radar of our daily consciousness, creating a hidden vulnerability. This makes it a true, invisible stressor. We are conditioned to recognize and manage external stressors, a demanding job, financial worries, or a difficult commute. We can feel their effects on our mood and energy levels, but this internal biological stressor works differently. It silently contributes to cellular wear and tear without providing any direct feedback. Day after day, it can influence the health of your organs and systems, including your cardiovascular system, all while you continue to feel perfectly fine. It's a long-term challenge to your body's resilience that doesn't appear on your daily to-do list of concerns. This lack of symptoms is precisely why the risk is so profoundly underestimated. In our culture, health is often defined as the absence of disease or pain. If you feel good, have energy, and aren't experiencing any specific complaints, the logical assumption is that everything is in working order. This symptom-based model of health, while practical for many things, leaves us blind to gradual, silent processes. Chronic low-grade inflammation doesn't fit our conventional definition of being sick, making it incredibly easy to dismiss its importance until its cumulative effects manifest in a much more serious way. Furthermore, the damage from this process unfolds over a very long timescale. It is not an event, but a gradual erosion of health that can span decades. The choices and environmental factors that contribute to it in your 20s, 30s, and 40s may not reveal their consequences until you reach your 50s, 60s, or beyond. This significant delay between cause and effect makes it difficult to connect your daily habits with a distant future health outcome. The immediate feedback loop is missing, which allows the underlying risk to build up unnoticed, year after year, with no apparent urgency. This brings us directly back to the central idea of our discussion, the critical difference between feeling healthy and being metabolically healthy on the inside. Chronic low-grade inflammation is perhaps the best example of this disconnect. A person can be active, maintain what they believe is a healthy diet, and feel great, all while this silent process is underway. It perfectly illustrates how our subjective sense of well-being is not always a reliable indicator of our underlying vascular health. True wellness involves understanding these hidden processes that our feelings alone cannot detect or measure accurately. Now that we have established what this invisible stressor is and why it often goes completely unnoticed, a crucial question arises. What is it actually doing inside your body over all those years? How does this constant low-level immune activation translate into a tangible risk for your heart and arteries? To answer that, we need to look at the direct consequences of this process on the very structure of your blood vessels. This is where the silent story of declining vascular health truly begins to take shape, deep within the walls of your arteries. The primary silent condition directly fueled by this internal stressor is atherosclerosis. This is the technical term for the gradual buildup of plaque, a substance made of cholesterol, fats, and other cellular materials on the inner walls of your arteries. Imagine the smooth lining of your arteries as a pristine, non-stick surface. Chronic inflammation acts like a persistent irritant, creating tiny, imperceptible points of damage on that surface. These damaged spots become the footholds where plaque can begin to accumulate, initiating a process that can unfold over the course of your entire adult life without producing a single warning sign. This plaque buildup is a slow, methodical process, not a sudden event. Over many years, these deposits can grow, gradually narrowing the space through which blood flows. However, your body is remarkably adaptive. For a long time, it can compensate for this narrowing, and you may experience no symptoms at all. You can continue your daily activities, exercise, and feel perfectly normal, all while this process is advancing silently within your arterial walls. The lack of any discernible signal, such as pain or breathlessness, creates the illusion that everything is functioning perfectly, even as the underlying foundation of your vascular health is slowly being compromised. This absence of symptoms is what creates such a profound and dangerous false sense of security. Atherosclerosis doesn't send daily progress reports. It doesn't cause discomfort that would prompt a visit to a healthcare professional. Because of this, a person can have significant plaque buildup in the arteries leading to their heart and be completely unaware of the risk. The eventual cardiac event, which seems to come out of the blue, is in reality the final dramatic conclusion to this decades-long silent story. It highlights the critical gap between how we feel and what is actually happening inside our bodies. As this plaque continues to develop over the years, another silent process can begin, one that makes the arteries even more vulnerable. This brings us to our second topic, advanced coronary artery disease, or CAD. A key feature of advanced atherosclerosis is calcification. As plaque deposits mature, calcium can become integrated into them, causing the normally flexible walls of your arteries to become stiff and brittle. This is what is commonly referred to as hardening of the arteries. Like the initial plaque formation, this is an internal process that you cannot feel, yet it represents a significant escalation of risk. This stiffening has serious consequences for the health of your arteries. A healthy artery is elastic, able to expand and contract with each heartbeat. A calcified artery loses this essential flexibility. This rigidity not only impairs blood flow, but also makes the plaque itself more unstable. A brittle calcified plaque is more prone to cracking or rupturing, especially under physical or emotional stress. When a plaque ruptures, the body's natural response is to form a blood clot to heal the injury. It is this clot that can suddenly block the artery, cutting off blood flow to the heart muscle. Here again, the false sense of security is a major factor. A person can have a significant amount of calcification in their coronary arteries and still maintain a high level of physical fitness. They may be able to run marathons, lift weights, or engage in strenuous activities without experiencing any chest pain or other symptoms of angina. Their external performance gives them, and those around them, every reason to believe their heart is in excellent condition. This demonstrates that physical capacity alone is not a reliable gauge of the internal health and structural integrity of your coronary arteries. These structural changes in the arteries are often powerfully influenced and accelerated by systemic issues in the body's overall operating system. This leads us to our third topic, the silent conditions of prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, which are the direct result of long-term metabolic dysfunction. These conditions are not just about blood sugar. They are fundamentally vascular diseases. Persistently high levels of glucose and insulin in the bloodstream act as a constant source of irritation to the delicate lining of your blood vessels, directly fueling the chronic low-grade inflammation we discussed at the beginning. The progression from healthy metabolism to prediabetes and then to type 2 diabetes is incredibly insidious because it happens over a very long, asymptomatic period. The classic well-known symptoms of diabetes, such as excessive thirst, frequent urination, and unexplained weight loss, typically only manifest when the condition is already quite advanced. For years, even a decade or more, a person can live with a dysregulated metabolism without any clear signs. The vague feelings of fatigue after meals or slowly increasing belly fat are easily dismissed as normal parts of aging, allowing significant vascular damage to accumulate unnoticed. This brings all three of our topics together into one interconnected story. The silent metabolic dysfunction of insulin resistance acts as a powerful accelerator for cardiovascular risk. The excess glucose and insulin drive chronic inflammation, which is the first step. This inflammation then promotes the development and growth of atherosclerotic plaque. Over time, that plaque can become calcified and unstable. This shows that these are not three separate issues, but a cascade of events, where a silent problem in your body's metabolic system creates a silent problem in your arteries, ultimately leading to a very loud and sudden cardiac event. Now, let's explore how common, everyday decisions can unknowingly contribute to this cascade of silent risks. The choices that fuel these processes are often not dramatic or reckless. On the contrary, they are deeply embedded in our modern culture and are considered normal parts of daily life. Because they seem so harmless and are practiced by so many, their long-term impact is rarely considered. The hidden risk lies not in any single meal or one stressful day, but in the cumulative effect of seemingly benign patterns repeated over years and decades, slowly shaping our internal biological environment without our conscious awareness. Consider the dietary patterns that have become the default for many. The standard American diet, heavy and ultra-processed foods, refined carbohydrates, and sugary drinks, creates an internal state of constant metabolic stress. A breakfast of cereal or bagel, a sandwich on white bread for lunch, and a pasta dinner, punctuated by frequent snacks, keeps blood sugar and insulin levels consistently elevated. This pattern is a primary driver of both insulin resistance and chronic low-grade inflammation. These food choices are socially accepted and convenient, yet they silently set the stage for long-term vascular damage over many years. Beyond diet, our lifestyle habits play a significant role. A sedentary life, common for those with desk jobs, limits circulation and impairs the body's ability to regulate hormones effectively, contributing to that low-level inflammatory state. At the same time, the pervasive hustle culture can create a state of chronic psychological stress. This mental and emotional pressure translates into a real physiological response, keeping your body in a subtle but persistent state of alert. These are not seen as health decisions, but as necessities of modern work and life. Yet they contribute directly to the invisible stressors we've discussed. Another crucial decision is our approach to healthcare itself. The common mindset of only going to the doctor when you feel sick creates a significant blind spot. By avoiding routine preventive care, you miss the opportunity for a qualified professional to monitor the very markers that tell this silent story, such as blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and blood sugar. This reactive approach to health, while understandable, means that the gradual progression of atherosclerosis and calcification can continue unchecked for decades, simply because there were no symptoms to report. Proactive observation is often the key that is missing. As we bring our discussion to a close, it's essential to return to our central idea. A major cardiac event is very rarely a sudden random bolt from the blue. Instead, it is most often the final loud conclusion to a long, quiet story of declining vascular health. The profound disconnect between feeling healthy on the surface and being metabolically healthy on the inside is the critical gap in understanding that can leave us vulnerable. True wellness is not merely the absence of pain or discomfort, but the presence of an internal environment that actively prevents the accumulation of damage over time. Throughout our journey today, we've seen how these three silent processes are deeply interconnected. It begins with a subtle metabolic dysfunction, often driven by common lifestyle choices. This dysfunction fuels the fire of chronic low-grade inflammation throughout the body. In turn, this inflammation acts as a constant irritant to your arteries, initiating and accelerating the process of atherosclerosis and, eventually, coronary artery calcification. They are not separate issues, but a single continuous narrative of cause and effect unfolding silently over the course of a lifetime, with each stage enabling the next. The purpose of understanding this narrative is not to create fear or anxiety, but to empower you with knowledge. Awareness of these gradual hidden processes allows you to view your daily choices through a new lens, recognizing their long-term significance. It transforms vague notions of healthy living into a more concrete understanding of the biological reasons behind them. This deeper insight is the most powerful tool you have for fostering long-term wellness, allowing you to move from a passive state of hoping for the best to one of active, informed self-awareness. As you continue to learn, it is vital to seek information from trusted, official sources. Organizations like the American Heart Association, AHA, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and the National Institutes of Health, NIH, provide reliable, evidence-based health information for the public. Relying on these authorities helps ensure that your understanding is built on a foundation of sound science, protecting you from misinformation and sensationalism. This video is intended to be an educational guide, and these organizations are excellent resources for deepening your knowledge on these important topics. Ultimately, the information shared here is designed to be a catalyst for a more meaningful conversation with a qualified healthcare professional. It is not a substitute for their expertise and personalized guidance. During your routine checkups, having an open dialogue about your lifestyle, your family history, and your long-term health goals is the most responsible and effective step you can take. Your healthcare provider can help you assess your individual situation and make informed decisions that are right for you. This partnership is the cornerstone of proactive and preventive health management. Thank you for investing your time to explore these complex but crucial topics. By watching until the end, you have demonstrated a commitment to understanding your health on a deeper level. The knowledge of these silent processes is not a burden, but a form of empowerment. It provides you with the clarity to observe your own body and habits more mindfully, and to appreciate that long-term health is a story you are actively writing every single day. We hope this journey has provided you with valuable insight and a renewed sense of control over your well-being.